Welcome back to another explosive breakdown here on Basketball Fan, the channel where we cover all the drama, controversy, and chaos happening around the WNBA and beyond. And today, we seriously need to talk about what just happened with the game between the Indiana Fever and the Portland Fire, because this situation turned into an absolute disaster long before the opening tip ever happened. Honestly, by the time the final buzzer sounded, barely anyone was even talking about the actual basketball game anymore. The entire conversation online became about one thing and one thing only: the shocking last-minute announcement that Caitlin Clark would not be playing. And the reaction from fans? Pure outrage. You could feel the frustration pouring across social media within minutes. People were angry, confused, disappointed, and in some cases absolutely furious because many of them had spent serious money and traveled long distances just to watch Caitlin Clark play in person, only to learn barely over an hour before the game that she wouldn't even step on the floor. And let's be honest here on Basketball Fan, this isn't just a small issue. This is a massive problem for the Fever organization and potentially for the WNBA itself, because whether people want to admit it or not, Caitlin Clark is the biggest draw in women's basketball right now. She moves ticket sales. She moves ratings. She moves merchandise. Entire arenas fill because people want to see her. That's just reality. So when fans feel blindsided like this, the backlash is going to be huge. And wow, was it huge tonight. The attendance numbers officially came out, and they were shocking. There were reportedly over 3,200 empty seats in the building, making this the lowest attended regular season game of the Caitlin Clark era. Think about that for a second. We're talking about a player who completely transformed attendance across the league, and suddenly you're seeing giant empty sections all over the arena. That's not normal. Fans immediately started posting photos online showing huge gaps throughout the stadium, entire sections looking half empty, and seats sitting unsold even after ticket prices crashed all the way down to around $8. $8. And they still couldn't fill the arena. That tells you everything you need to know about how angry people were. Fans were posting comments saying things like, "We came to see Caitlin Clark, not this." Others were saying they no longer trusted the organization after what happened last season with all the game-time decision, updates, and vague injury reports. One fan even said they flew in from Montana specifically for this game and another upcoming game, only to find out at the last minute that Clark wouldn't be playing. Imagine how frustrating that must feel. You spend money on flights, hotels, food, transportation, tickets, and time off work, all because you want to watch one of the biggest stars in sports, and then barely an hour before tip-off you find out she's unavailable. That's exactly why fans are so upset right now. This goes beyond basketball. People feel deceived. And on Basketball Fan, we've got to call it exactly what it looks like. Many fans believe the organization intentionally waited until the last possible moment to announce the injury because they were afraid ticket sales would completely collapse if people knew earlier. Whether that's true or not, the perception alone is terrible. That kind of distrust can damage a fan base for a long time. Social media exploded with criticism. Some people were mocking the sold-out announcements because television cameras clearly showed massive empty areas throughout the arena. Others were posting videos walking through sections packed with empty seats and saying they had never seen Gainbridge Fieldhouse look like that during the Caitlin Clark era. And honestly, it was shocking to see. The atmosphere looked completely different compared to the electric crowds we've gotten used to watching around the Fever. Normally, when Clark plays, there's buzz, excitement, screaming fans, packed stands, energy everywhere. But tonight, the energy felt dead. You could almost feel the disappointment hanging over the entire building. Even the game itself reflected it. The Fever ended up winning, but the matchup felt slow, ugly, and completely lacking intensity. It looked more like a preseason game than one of the most anticipated WNBA games of the week. Kelsey Mitchell played well and dropped 21 points, while Aaliyah Boston absolutely dominated inside with 24 points on efficient shooting. They handled business, no question. But fans weren't there to talk about the final score. They were there to see Caitlin Clark. And once she was ruled out, it felt like the entire event collapsed emotionally. That's the reality the league now has to deal with. And things got even more controversial after head coach Stephanie White spoke before the game because her explanation raised even more questions than answers. During her interview, she said Caitlin Clark woke up with back stiffness and soreness and that the team wanted to be cautious. She also admitted Clark had not participated in practice the previous day and had been receiving treatment. Immediately, fans started asking the obvious question: if she missed practice and was already receiving treatment, then why did the organization wait so long to officially announce she wouldn't play? That's where the frustration really exploded online. People started connecting dots and speculating about everything. Some fans even began theorizing that this wasn't really an injury situation at all, but some kind of internal suspension or conflict following recent tension between Clark and the coaching staff. Now, to be clear, there's no official evidence supporting that theory, but it shows you how little trust some fans currently have in the organization. Once trust starts disappearing, people begin assuming the worst. And Stephanie White's comments didn't exactly calm anybody down because at one point she said, "She's healthy. We're not managing anything. This is just a back issue." Fans immediately called that contradictory. If she's healthy, then why is she out? If it's serious enough to miss the game, then clearly something is wrong. And if the team already knew she was getting treatment the day before, why keep fans in the dark until almost game time? Those questions are everywhere right now. On Basketball Fan, we've been following the reactions nonstop, and the anger is real. Many fans are now comparing this situation to the load management controversy in the NBA, where star players sit out games for rest, causing fans to lose interest. But here's the problem: the WNBA is still building its audience. It cannot afford to alienate fans at this stage. The league is experiencing incredible growth thanks largely to stars like Caitlin Clark bringing in new viewers who may have never watched women's basketball before. Those fans are emotionally invested in seeing her play. If they begin feeling like they can't trust injury reports or game availability announcements, that could seriously hurt attendance moving forward. And people online are already warning about exactly that. Some longtime fans are saying they're hesitant to buy tickets now because they don't know whether Clark will actually play. Others are saying they'll wait until the last minute before purchasing seats, which could create huge problems for advance ticket sales. And remember, this isn't happening in a vacuum. The Fever already dealt with criticism last season over how injuries and player updates were communicated. So for many fans, tonight felt like history repeating itself all over again. And the timing couldn't be worse because expectations surrounding the Fever this year are enormous. The spotlight on Caitlin Clark is bigger than ever. Every decision the organization makes is being analyzed under a microscope. Every injury update becomes national news. Every coaching decision becomes a debate. And right now, the public perception surrounding this situation is becoming a PR nightmare. The visuals alone were brutal. Viral photos showing empty sections spread all across social media platforms within minutes. Fans kept posting captions like, "The Caitlin Clark effect is real, and so is the backlash when she doesn't play." Others blamed the organization directly, accusing them of taking fans for granted. Some even called it greedy behavior for allegedly delaying the announcement to protect ticket sales. Whether fair or unfair, that narrative is gaining traction quickly online. And perception matters. Once people believe an organization is hiding information or manipulating fans, rebuilding that trust becomes incredibly difficult. Another major issue here is how dependent the league currently is on Caitlin Clark's star power. Tonight proved it in dramatic fashion. One late scratch announcement completely changed the atmosphere of an entire event. Ticket prices collapsed. Attendance dropped. Fan excitement disappeared. Television audiences likely took a hit too. That's an enormous amount of influence for one player to have. It shows just how important Clark has become not only to the Fever, but to the WNBA as a whole. Some fans are even arguing that the league needs better transparency rules regarding star player injuries because of situations exactly like this. They believe fans deserve earlier notice, especially when games involve expensive travel plans. And honestly, it's hard to disagree with that point. Sports are entertainment, but they're also expensive entertainment. Families save money to attend games. Kids dream about seeing their favorite players in person. People plan vacations around these events. So when major announcements happen at the last possible moment, it creates frustration that goes far beyond a simple basketball decision. And unfortunately for the Fever, tonight's backlash may not disappear anytime soon. The internet never forgets. Videos of empty seats and angry reactions are already circulating everywhere. Fans are debating whether this situation was handled honestly. Media personalities are criticizing the organization publicly. And every future injury update involving Caitlin Clark is now going to be met with skepticism because trust has clearly been damaged. Meanwhile, the actual game itself became almost secondary to the controversy. The Fever won comfortably, but the victory didn't feel exciting. The arena energy was flat. The social media conversation stayed focused on Clark's absence. And by the end of the night, the biggest takeaway wasn't the scoreboard, it was the growing disconnect between the organization and portions of its fan base. On Basketball Fan, we always try to keep things real, and the reality here is that this situation could have lasting consequences if it's not handled carefully. The Fever need to understand how emotionally invested fans are in Caitlin Clark. This isn't just another player missing a game. She has become the face of a movement in women's basketball. New fans entered the sport because of her. Casual viewers became loyal supporters because of her. Arenas filled because of her. That level of star power comes with massive responsibility from both the player and the organization. Communication matters more than ever. Transparency matters more than ever. Because if fans start feeling manipulated or ignored, the backlash can spread very quickly, exactly like we witnessed tonight. And now everybody is waiting to see what happens next. Will Caitlin Clark return in the next game? Is this truly just minor stiffness, or is there something more serious happening with her back? Will the organization address the criticism directly? Will fans continue showing up in huge numbers moving forward? Those are the questions dominating the conversation right now. But one thing is absolutely certain after tonight. This wasn't just another regular season WNBA game. This became a full-blown controversy that exposed how powerful the Caitlin Clark effect really is, both positively and negatively. When she plays, arenas explode with energy. When she doesn't, the entire atmosphere changes instantly. And the Fever just got a very loud reminder of that reality. So now the pressure is on the organization to repair the damage, calm the fan base, and make sure this kind of situation doesn't spiral even further. Because right now, emotions are running high, fans are frustrated, and the trust issue surrounding this team is becoming impossible to ignore. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below here on Basketball Fan. Do you think the Indiana Fever handled this situation poorly? Do fans have a right to be angry about the late announcement? And do you believe the WNBA can afford these kinds of controversies while the league is still trying to grow its audience? Drop your opinions below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more breaking basketball drama right here on Basketball Fan. Welcome back to Basketball Fan, the channel where we break down the biggest stories, controversies, and drama happening in basketball right now. And honestly, what's happening with the Indiana Fever and the entire WNBA situation surrounding Caitlin Clark is becoming an absolute mess. Fans are angry, trust is disappearing, ticket prices are collapsing, and people are now openly questioning whether the organization is being honest about what's really going on. Because after hearing the latest statements from head coach Stephanie White, a lot of people simply are not buying the explanation anymore. And honestly, you can understand why. The messaging coming from the organization sounds completely contradictory. One minute they're saying Caitlin Clark is healthy. The next minute they're saying she has a back issue. Then they say they're not managing anything, but they also want to give her plenty of time to recover. Fans heard all of that and immediately started saying, wait a second, what exactly are they trying to tell us here? Because those statements don't seem to line up. If she's healthy, why is she not playing? If the back issue is serious enough to hold her out, then clearly something is wrong. And if the team already knew there was soreness and stiffness before game day, why wait until the last minute to announce it publicly? Those are the questions exploding all over social media right now, and the frustration is getting louder by the hour. On Basketball Fan, we've been watching this situation unfold in real time, and what's really damaging here is the growing feeling among fans that the organization cannot be trusted anymore. That's the real issue. This is no longer just about one missed game. It's about communication. It's about transparency. And it's about fans feeling like they were intentionally kept in the dark. Many people are now pointing to league injury reporting rules and asking whether the Fever actually followed them properly. Reports started circulating online showing the WNBA's official injury reporting policy, which says teams are supposed to report information concerning player injuries, illnesses, or any participation concerns by 5 p.m. local time the day before the game. For back-to-back games, teams reportedly must provide updates by 1 p.m. local time on game day. So naturally, fans started asking another uncomfortable question. If Caitlin Clark had already missed practice and was receiving treatment the day before, then why wasn't that information reported earlier? Why did people only find out barely over an hour before tip-off? That's where the controversy really exploded. Now suddenly fans aren't just frustrated about Clark missing the game. They're questioning the entire process. People online are debating whether the organization intentionally delayed the announcement to avoid hurting ticket sales. And look, whether that's true or not, perception matters. Once fans begin believing they're being manipulated, trust disappears very quickly. And you can already see the damage happening. Attendance numbers dropped. Ticket prices crashed. Videos of empty sections inside the arena spread everywhere online. Some resale tickets reportedly dropped to under $10 and still didn't sell. Think about how unbelievable that is considering the massive demand Caitlin Clark usually creates. This is a player who has completely transformed attendance across women's basketball. Arenas normally sell out just because she's scheduled to appear. But the second fans learned she wouldn't play, the atmosphere around the game completely collapsed. That tells you how important she is not only to the Fever, but to the entire league. And now the criticism is becoming much bigger than just basketball. Fans are starting to accuse the WNBA and the Fever organization of mishandling their biggest star. Some people feel the league has failed to protect Caitlin Clark physically over the past 2 seasons. Others are angry about officiating and the way certain games have been managed. Then you have commentators and media personalities making even stronger statements online, saying the league changed rules too late after already allowing Clark to take too much punishment on the court. Whether people agree with those takes or not, the point is this: the negativity surrounding the situation is growing rapidly. And when a league's biggest attraction becomes surrounded by constant controversy, that's a dangerous position to be in. What's also interesting is how many fans are now criticizing the sports media itself. A lot of people believe local reporters and media members are refusing to ask tough questions because they don't want to lose access to the team. That criticism has become louder and louder over the last 24 hours. Fans are saying reporters should be demanding clearer answers about the injury reporting, the timeline, and the communication failures. Instead, many feel the media is simply repeating whatever the organization says without pushing back. And whether fair or unfair, that perception is contributing to the growing distrust around the situation. Some fans are even saying this is exactly why they no longer trust mainstream sports coverage, because they feel difficult questions are avoided whenever leagues or teams might become uncomfortable. And honestly, on Basketball Fan, this entire situation shows how fragile the relationship between fans and organizations can become once trust starts breaking down. Sports fans are passionate. They spend serious money supporting teams. They buy jerseys, tickets, parking, hotels, flights, food, streaming subscriptions, all because they love watching their favorite players compete. In this case, thousands of people are emotionally invested in Caitlin Clark specifically. She's not just another player to these fans. She's the reason many of them started watching the WNBA in the first place. She's become one of the biggest names in sports. So when communication surrounding her availability feels confusing or misleading, fans take it personally. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. The visuals from the arena made everything even worse. Social media was flooded with videos showing empty seats all across the building. Entire sections looked half empty. The energy inside the arena reportedly felt flat compared to the electric atmosphere Fever games usually have when Clark is playing. Fans online kept saying the same thing over and over again. We came to see Caitlin Clark. And honestly, that's the reality the league now has to accept. Caitlin Clark has become the engine driving attention for women's basketball at a historic level. When she's on the court, ratings rise. Ticket demand explodes. Social media engagement skyrockets. But when she's suddenly ruled out at the last minute, the backlash becomes enormous because expectations are so high. What makes this situation even more dangerous is that some fans are now threatening to stop buying tickets in advance altogether. Think about the impact that could have moving forward. If people begin waiting until the last minute to purchase seats because they don't trust injury reporting anymore, that affects attendance projections, resale markets, arena atmosphere, and overall revenue. And for a growing league like the WNBA, maintaining fan excitement is incredibly important right now. This league is experiencing one of the biggest growth periods in its history. The spotlight is brighter than ever. New audiences are paying attention. But with more attention also comes more scrutiny. Every decision gets analyzed. Every controversy spreads instantly online. Every communication mistake becomes national discussion material. That's exactly what happened here. And look, maybe this truly is just a minor back issue. Maybe Caitlin Clark simply woke up sore and the team decided to be cautious. That absolutely could be the truth. But the problem is the messaging surrounding it has been so inconsistent that many fans no longer believe what they're hearing. That's the danger of poor communication. Once credibility starts slipping, even reasonable explanations get questioned. And right now, skepticism around the Fever organization is clearly growing. Fans are openly saying they don't trust the front office anymore. Others are calling this another example of poor leadership. Some are even comparing the situation to load management controversies that have frustrated NBA fans for years. But many people believe the WNBA cannot afford similar problems because the league is still building long-term fan loyalty with newer audiences. Meanwhile, the actual basketball game itself became almost irrelevant in the public conversation. Yes, the Fever won. Yes, players like Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston played very well. But hardly anybody cared afterward because the Caitlin Clark controversy completely overshadowed everything else. That's how powerful her presence has become in the sports world right now. One late injury announcement completely changed the narrative of the entire evening. Instead of celebrating a victory, everyone is debating injury reporting rules, ticket sales, empty seats, and organizational trust. That's a major problem. And now all eyes are on what happens next. Will Caitlin Clark return quickly, or is this issue more serious than the team initially suggested? Will the Fever organization address the criticism directly? Will reporters begin asking tougher questions? And most importantly, will fans continue showing up in massive numbers if situations like this keep happening? Those are the questions dominating the conversation today. Because whether the league likes it or not, fans are sending a very clear message right now. They expect transparency. They expect honesty. And they expect better communication surrounding the biggest star in the sport. At the end of the day, this entire situation has become a huge test for the Indiana Fever and the WNBA. The league is growing rapidly, but maintaining that momentum requires trust between organizations and fans. Once fans feel ignored or manipulated, backlash happens fast. And based on the reactions we're seeing online, the frustration is very real. Empty seats, crashing ticket prices, angry comments, confused messaging, and non-stop controversy. That's the reality surrounding this story right now. And unless things calm down quickly, this situation could continue getting even uglier over the next few days. Let me know what you think down below here on Basketball Fan. Do you think the Fever handled this situation the wrong way? Do you believe the injury reporting raised legitimate questions? And are fans right to be frustrated after finding out so late that Caitlin Clark wouldn't play? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because we'll continue covering every major update right here on Basketball Fan.